I want to thank, well, Paul's not here, I'm assuming he's with the children, but I want to thank Paul and Christopher and Joan for allowing me this opportunity to speak with you all this morning. I hope I'm loud enough. I opted, Missy says I have a loud mouth anyways, my fiance, so I'm hoping this will work. Just to let you know a little bit about me, I'm one of the J2A teachers, along with Kathy and along with Jim Keyes here at St. Mark's. I'm also a lector, as you heard, and if anybody should feel sorry in this congregation for having to listen to me, it's poor Laura. She had to listen to me in J2A for an hour this morning and then lecturing, and now she's stuck here again, so I apologize, Laura, in advance. But they asked me to talk about stewardship, and I guess when I thought of the theme of walking the way, I thought of, well, let me tell you a little bit about walking the way. And, I sort of thought of the idea as, putting your money where your mouth is, or you have to walk the walk and talk the talk. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. I grew up in a small town in eastern Ohio. There were more churches than bars there, which was a good sign, I guess, if you take religiosity and put them against each other. There were 5 churches. You couldn't throw a rock without hitting one of them, and as a kid I tried and did hit a number of them along the way. But the one that my family and I attended to was a block and a half down the road from our house, which meant that, growing up, especially as an early teenager, there was no way of getting out of not going to church, right? So, you couldn't say there was traffic. You walked, it was a block and a half. You couldn't say the weather was bad because you just had a shovel and you shoveled your way there. So there was no good reason. Now, the other thought of it was that when we were going to church and when we were thinking of these things, as a young teenager with a strong back and apparently an idiot sticker on my forehead, whenever the church asked or needed something, you're a block and a half away, right? So who's the first person they're going to call? You. Cut the grass, shovel the walkways, rake the leaves, help pour concrete, whatever the case may be, you were there. As a young teenager, it was interesting because you got to see the inner workings of the church. I don't know, call me naive, call me whatever, but I didn't realize that other people besides the priest would count the collection on Sundays. Who would have thought, right? But it also meant that you were stuck doing all of these tasks. Now, as I grew older and sort of a late teenager, and you realize that girls stopped having cooties and homework and things like that, you can sort of decide who won the time battle there. Church, girlfriend du jour. All of those things got into play. But we were still around to help. And then when it came to giving, that was another topic in our house. I remember one Sunday I asked my mom, I said, why don't we just give $5? Ever since I was a kid, it was always $5. And she said, well, we help out enough around the church. $5 is okay to keep a ball of 1 or 2. Okay, it's your mom. You don't fight too much with her, especially when it comes to money, because she's the one giving you money for chores and things. So, all right, I know not to tick off the bank lady. But that also meant, especially as I grew up and went off to college and grad school, and I attended churches that were near the school, that I started thinking and started sort of resenting my childhood almost to a point. All of my time and energy was spent at the church. There wasn't a Saturday that the grass didn't need cut or that leaves didn't need raked, or there wasn't a winter go by that you could just go play and go snow riding and throw snowballs at cars or each other or different things. No, you're stuck at the church shoveling the walkway, which did probably keep me out of a lot of trouble. I'll be the first to admit that. But as we were going and as we went through these things, I started to feel that little hint of resentment. I still gave my $5 growing up, As Episcopalians, we believe in tradition, and if $5 was good then, $5 is good now, right? And so, as I was growing up, and then, you would go and the priest would say, well, we need a volunteer to help pack lunches. We need a volunteer to help drive people to church. Well, put the idiot badge on my forehead, and off I went again. Sure, I'll help. Now, as I sit here as an adult, and then when I was asked to give a talk on stewardship, I thought, what can I say about this? And Melissa and I moved to Columbus a little bit ago, and we've been here at St. Mark's now for a little over a year. And Melissa's my fiance, by the way. I keep talking. She's in the choir. I keep talking about her. I should probably point out who she is. That way you can yell at her for any of this stuff. But we were here and we were looking for a church where we felt challenged, yet comfortable, sort of that uneasy feeling to kind of keep you motivated. we were looking for a church that we felt welcome to coming. And I can say here that, with the clergy that we have, that first Sunday, my gosh, we must have had newbies written on our foreheads or something. I took the idiot badge and put newbie up there. And everybody welcome, not just the clergy, but the vestry and members of the congregation. We'd found a home, not just a home for our butts in a pew, but for a home for, of course, $5 when it came to dropping in the basket. So last year around this time, when we were listening to the stewardship talks, it sparked a lot of conversation in our home. Melissa goes, $5 isn't going to cut it anymore. And I said, $5 is $5. Mom gave it 20 years ago. Why not now? You can tell who the stickler for tradition is in our home. And Melissa goes, but Seth, she goes, our electric bill went up. I said, well, stop turning the furnace up when you're cold. She goes, our gas bill went up. Well, stop taking so many showers. Our cell phones bills went up. Stop downloading Angry Birds. You've got like 5 different versions of them. And then she goes, you're an idiot. I'm done talking to you. She didn't say that, but she probably should have. But she goes, if our bills go up, don't you think St. Mark's bills go up? She got me. I'll give you that. You got me. So when you're faced with that kind of a reality, and it's true, we all have bills, and our bills go up. When we stop and think somehow when we come to church, true, it's a beautiful foretaste of heaven. We have a wonderful choir, an amazing organist. If the angels of heaven sound anything like this, I think we're all in for a treat. We have meticulously maintained grounds here. Obviously, I used to cut grass for the church. I know that doesn't come necessarily all that cheap. But when we come to church and we can experience that little touch of heaven, when we can leave all of our cares and concerns at the door and we come here and are uplifted and lifted up, that meeting, that sort of gentle meeting between heaven and earth. Yeah, all right. And of course, being in the choir, she tells me, she goes, in the Psalms, the psalmist David tells you, the Lord loves a cheerful giver. No, I wasn't all that cheery sitting down writing a bigger check. But I know that my bills went up, that things happen, and I have to respond in kind. And in the years since we've been doing this, I can honestly say, granted, I haven't gotten a whole lot more cheerier writing that check, I'll admit. But I've never missed it. I've never missed the extra money that we've given. I've never been in need because I've given to the church, I've given to the Lord. And we've been blessed as a family because of it. Now, I know talking about stewardship tends to resolve around money, but it's not even about giving money necessarily if that's not where you are. Here at St. Mark's, there are countless opportunities to volunteer. Again, idiot on my forehead, Jim Keyes talked to me about being a J2A teacher. Sure, I'll do it. Paul asked me to be a lector. Sure, I'll do it. But there's opportunities abound if you even just look in the bulletin. Altar Guild, Flower Guild, Coffee Guild, Choir, Canterbury Choir. All of these things, no matter what age range, no matter what group you're in, we can be a part of. All you have to do is say, yeah, sign me up. If volunteering isn't your thing, we have a huge parish prayer list. Spend some time praying for those folks. They need it. So with all of these opportunities around, with coming to a church where we get to meet heaven and earth, just for that brief instance, where we can sort of suspend our lives that go on outside of this building and enter into this mystery. When the church asks us, can you help? Can you do this? How can any of us just sit back and say no?